Water.
Earth.
Fire.
Air. This is... What were you saying? This is Yip Yip.
Hooray!
An Avatar podcast. And we're back. Hey, everybody. Orville Redenbacher. Popcorn is not sponsoring us. Well, I am your co-host, Jordan. I am joined by...
Katie.
Oh, hey.
And...
Troy.
Wow.
Troy, you just got back from somewhere. What have you been doing?
I just got back from work a couple days ago.
Man.
And before that...
Oh, before that, we went skiing at Mount Hood, which is in the western Midwest part of Oregon. And then before that, we went to Hawaii.
Is Mount Hood in the Midwest part of Oregon?
Feels like it.
So is it like the Kansas of Oregon?
Yeah.
What was Hawaii like?
Aloha.
Mahalo, maliki liki maka.
Yeah. Hot sand, clear blue water, no complaints. It always boggles my mind just what nature is capable of.
You can't see this, but Troy's wearing like 7 layers of clothes, a really heavy stocking cap, some snow boots, and I'm pretty sure galoshes. Are you cold, Troy?
I'm always cold.
Well, he just got back from Hawaii, and it is cold. It's wet.
Hello.
Missing that island life.
Well, we just watched some Avatar: The Last Airbender. We watched the series' first 2-part episode, The Winter Solstice. Part 1, Spirit World. Part 2, Avatar Roku. Quick, give it a number grade. There's 2 numbers. 8. Man, Sate.
I was going to say 7.5, but then I decided to round up.
In that minute of like thinking about it?
No, I'm rounding back down.
Dang. Why did you round it back down?
Because I think, well, I can't talk about that.
Oh, yeah. No, how dare I
So,
assume. I
You're
don't.
just going to have to go off my professionalism. 7.5.
I'm going for a hard 8.
Okay.
Hard 8.
Hard 8.
Why is it necessary to say hard 8?
Well, because like a solid, like I am so positive that those 2 episodes constituted an 8. Like I don't feel like 7.9. I don't feel 8.1. Solid 8.
All right. Should we talk about it?
Maybe. That's part of what we're doing here. So these 2 episodes set up a bunch of important things in the Avatar world. You get our first step into the spirit world. Aang kind of accidentally ends up there after freaking out about how he doesn't know how to be the Avatar, how he can only do airbending. Aang's experiencing something right now. I think the fact that he is the Avatar with no guidance is really starting to weigh on him.
Yeah. Were you surprised, Troy? When he was in the spirit world and like, did you know what was happening?
It definitely caught me off guard because he's the airbender, so he can bend air, water, earth, and fire. He has the capability of doing all 4 of those things. When he found out he was in the spirit world and he couldn't do much in the spirit world, I just thought, oh, I did not see that coming.
So what is the spirit world? Like, what did you interpret that as?
Sort of like the 5th element, the one element you really cannot see, but it's still there. So it kind of, I feel like it really ties back into Eastern philosophies and the way the traditions go.
Spirit world. Well, I was surprised that you don't actually go to like another world. It just seems like Aang kind of becomes a spirit. So even though they keep talking about the spirit world, he's just a manifestation of his spirit.
Yeah, I don't know. And then he was like, seeing everybody like, hey, I'm here and you can't see me. And I guess in my mind, that wasn't happening.
It definitely just feels like the spirit world is just an interconnected apart, like a layer over our world that is existing like right now. Troy could have. Well, actually, we're not close to a solstice, but I think there's a couple spirits next to you, Troy. One's an angry panda, one's a happy panda. You are in the spirit world. Welcome.
That's right. I think the biggest takeaway from that was episode 7, the spirit world, is that the 5th element, I'm going to say the spirit world is like the 5th element. If you can figure out how to maneuver in the spirit world, it brings all the other ones close together. It's just interesting because without his powers, he realizes he needs to go visit Avatar Roku. And it's the beginning of what I call indomitable spirit. He is indeed, in fact, the Avatar. And yes, he has no guidances, but he cannot afford to let that stop him from saving his friends and bringing balance back to the world. And so I think that was the surprise about the spirit world element, is just when you have no powers at your disposal, you still have to believe in yourself in order to really make the vision come to life.
Yeah, that was probably a good moment for Aang, who has relied so much on his bending up to this point, and for him to realize that he's more than just that. was really good. I really enjoyed Heibai as the spirit. Like, he's just thrashing around, like, causing chaos. He's kind of, the way Aang approaches Heibai, the angry spirit, Aang's like a parent trying to console, like, a thrashing toddler. Like, Aang takes it in spades. Like, oh, hey, there's this monster. Like, this is the scariest thing we've probably seen up until this point. Like,
and it's like 0 to 60. Just destroying everything.
And, like, I thought all the villagers are kind of cool about it. I mean, no one's, like, there's not much hysteria happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. And there's just no reasoning with him. Like, when Sokka comes out, and he's like, okay, like, let's take him down, or whatever.
Immediately kidnapped.
That was it. Bye, Sokka.
So did Sokka, like, I mean, he wasn't, like, walking around a spirit. He seemed to have no recollection when once Sokka was rescued that he had been in the spirit world. Like, did he just, like,
go to sleep? Take a nap.
He was comatose.
Something we haven't discussed, Uncle Fire, Iroh just tubbing.
What was that scene for you like, Troy? We meet Iroh for the first time in the episode, and
he's kind of, it's like intimate.
Well, it's very intimate, and it just kind of I don't know, I think the way Uncle Iroh's handling life right now, it's pretty similar to that of somebody I would assume who's just retired from the firebending world, and they just kind of like want to take it easy. So when you're dealing with a youth who's got like deadline, and they say, "Come on, Uncle, we gotta get going." The uncle's like, "What are you talking about? I am retired. Take your time. Leave me behind if you have to." You know, he's just gonna take his time, and I don't know. It was just they really set it up to where Uncle Iroh could be a scene stealer for sure.
I think the great thing about Iroh is that you just get, like, the sense that he has so much wisdom. He's like, you know what? I see you struggling. You're worried about all these things. Life's passing you by. You just need to take a step back. Sit in this tub.
Have some more tea.
No, they have a great dynamic, and just Iroh's laid back, and Zuko's just super intense, and...
My honor! No, Iroh's a wonderful foil as a character to Zuko, so they play off each other really well. Now, what do you view Zuko and Iroh as in terms of what they serve to the story?
I'll have to get back to you on that one. That's a pretty deep question.
Because they're definitely painted as antagonists, but they each have their own goals kind of happening. Like, Iroh needs to, like, be a good teacher to Zuko. And so you get these character traits from them, that they're not these evil sociopaths hellbent on capturing Aang. Zuko is that. But then Iroh kind of balances that out, because I think if Iroh was intense, like how Commander Zhao was, they would straight up just be like the villains of the series.
Prince Zuko and Uncle Iroh definitely give the antagonists of the story more personality, more of a human side. It's the typical story of if we were just to show the heroes, Aang and Sokka and Katara, like, it'd probably be pretty boring. Whereas you got Prince Zuko, like you said, very intense, and Uncle Iroh, who's just really laid back. They look out for each other at the same time while going after the Avatar, but you really get the best of the human side out of the Fire Nation between those two. Everybody else in the Fire Nation is either being commanded or has little to no soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice that they're, even though they're serving as antagonists to help drive that story forward, that you're still, like, their characters can still resonate with you, and how Uncle Iroh, even though he's being painted as an antagonist, you're like, oh, like, he's like a good guy.
He's relatable to a lot of people, especially myself. I like chilling in tubs, man.
Well, all right.
Perfect. Who doesn't love a good chill tub time?
Exactly.
I was just going to say, like, when Iroh gets kidnapped, or, not kidnapped, but...
Man-napped.
He gets arrested.
It's napped.
And he's just kind of like... Well, almost nude. Because you definitely think he is, but then he has, like, his little loincloth.
Like, did they give him the loincloth, or...
Yeah, I don't know if he was wearing that in the tub.
No, he definitely wasn't, because censorship, I mean, Zuko's hands went up in a very convenient spot in this episode. The first instance of censored nudity in the series so far.
It's a big moment.
Is that a euphemism? Big moment? Uncle Iroh?
Moving on. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy that he was... so creative and trying to escape. And then the best scene, obviously, was Uncle and Zuko fighting the firebenders.
Well, we get these, like, random earthbenders. Who are these guys? I don't know. They capture Iroh. They're about to crush his hands after he, like, dips himself off the edge of a cliff and, like, dead rolls.
And rolls forever.
Oh, he's gone. And then they capture him. They're about to crush his hands. And then as the rock is falling to crush his hands, out comes Zuko to delicately kick it away.
Yeah.
It was a delicate kick. Like, I didn't get much force from it.
Yeah. It was pretty weak.
Now, and then there was a very powerful quote after he gets saved. Whereas the earthbending leader says, "You guys are clearly outnumbered. It's 2-5." And then Uncle Iroh fires right back with, "We may be outnumbered, but you are outmatched."
You're clearly outmatched. Then whips his chains.
The episode just focuses so much on every episode in general, but this episode specifically just really goes after the power of spiritual strength, you know. Doesn't matter the size of the dog in the fight, it matters the size of the fight and the dog. And obviously between Zuko and Iroh, there's a ton of fight within both of them still to outmatch 5 earthbenders.
I mean, as we've seen, especially in these like past 2 episodes, the spirit of Zuko to capture Aang is so great. He just finds himself in these sticky situations where you're like, how did Zuko get here?
Yeah, the stamina, and he's like, I know, I was thinking that like the last episode. Excellent tracker, he's very focused. Be great on a resume.
See, passion, friends. This is what happens when you're very passionate about a goal. Back to Iroh really quick. We found out some interesting things about him. We found out he was a general and that he laid siege to the great Earth Kingdom city of Ba Sing Se for 600 days.
600 days.
Until he, quote unquote, got tired. I was tired.
He's still tired.
Yeah, just he'll tell you all about it.
Man, what is that? About 19, 20 months?
I mean, it's almost 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, I get pretty burnt out.
And then we found out his nickname is Dragon of the West, which, that's a baller name, guys.
For a baller guy.
Also, speaking of baller moves, probably not a baller move, but like when he's trying to escape and then heats up his shackles to hold the guy's hand on the hot iron and just holds it there and burns him. Iroh's a trickster.
Yeah, to me that was common sense to burn the guy's hands because they rely on their hands so much in the show. I mean, if I was gonna get kidnapped and I had that power, I was like, that's a genius move.
I'm burning your hands, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, moving on to part 2.
Dun dun dun. We find out that Aang needs to talk to the previous avatar, Roku, and so that requires dun 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 going to the Fire Nation. So this is the first time we've gone to the Fire Nation in the series. Now we've touched upon every element's land to some degree. We started in the Southern Water Tribe. We popped over to the Southern Air Temple. We've been in the Earth Kingdom for most of the series, and now we're going to the Fire Nation.
This thing was packed with a lot of subtle blinking and miss it moments. For example, the last episode, as Uncle Iroh gets kidnapped, he thinks nothing of it. He's actually very, very calm the entire time. Burns the guy's hands. They're about to crush Uncle Iroh's hands, and he doesn't look nervous at all.
He just accepts it. He's like, I tried to take down your city. Maybe you should crush my hands.
Second part, the Aang and the gang, they're not excited about going to the Fire Nation. I mean, neither is Uncle Iroh, especially, because he keeps telling his nephew, we go back to the Fire Nation, which is our nation. If you go back there, I cannot protect you anymore. This is the first time in the show his uncle is actually shown nervousness and worried.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, this was definitely a good shift for every character in the series thus far.
But then poor Zuko, he's just so driven by he's blinded by his singular goal that he doesn't even consider the fact that this could probably be the end of him as a banished prince going back to his homeland without fulfilling his goal.
I know, it's kind of sad.
We also find out for sure that Zuko is a 16-year-old boy, and we know that all sorts of hormones are going on with that kid.
Oh, man.
Poor
Not
guy.
thinking clear, can only focus on one thing.
He probably needed to just go work out a little bit before like he had that serious conversation.
Can't listen to anybody.
Making decisions. It's terrible.
Can we also talk about when firebenders shoot fire out of their feet?
I don't know. Do you think that's fair?
I don't know. I don't know if I believe it. I call BS.
You don't believe that they can
I don't believe
Wait,
that you
why?
can shoot fire out of your feet.
Well, Aang airbends with his feet pretty frequently.
I don't know, guys.
And the earthbenders, I would argue, they bend a lot with their feet. You know, they take those like really powerful stances.
It's a very full body. Troy?
Look,
Fire out of the feet?
if they can fire bend steam out of their noses, in my mind,
What can't you firebend?
Fire bending out your foot is not too far fetched if you can get stuff coming out of your nose.
All right.
I heated it up myself.
Okay, so Zuko is ready to plow through
Risk it all.
to risk it all. He's going in. Iroh's like, for the love of God, please no.
But then we have that great moment where we're talking about like those tar fireballs are shooting off, and Iroh's like, dude, can we get something more fragrant?
Just again another scene where Uncle Iroh just steals it.
Yeah, he's a good one.
What about when Sokka like flies through the cloud?
Yo, yeah.
Okay,
He
that
gets
scene.
kicked off.
That scene was way more intense than I ever remember it being. Like, that's like a good portion of the episode is just them like dodging fireballs in the clouds. Like, Appa catches on fire at one point.
No.
And then Sokka flies off. We see Sokka get gobbled up by a cloud, and we're like, well, there he goes.
It was a great moment.
But
They
then-
rescue him.
Then Katara saves him. Okay, as siblings, do you think Katara and Sokka, how do you think about their sibling bond?
It's a pretty typical bond because it's Katie and I didn't really talk that much at that age.
But do you think she would rescue you as you fell out of the clouds?
Yes. I would hope so.
Yeah, that is true.
What?
I was just going to say, I've rescued you. I rescued your face before we started watching this episode.
Yeah, poor Troy.
Extracted some blackheads.
Poor Troy was just like
a
laying
great
there.
sister.
He just kept repeating like, hey, we're going to start the episode yet? Hey, we're going to start the episode yet? As Katie just goes to town on his poor nose and forehead.
Well, I'm happy to report that he didn't have much.
Clean skin. Clean skin all around.
So, great job, Troy.
Back to the show that we're watching. So I noticed that like this is like one of the first times that we're given more experience into Fire Nation citizens who aren't brainless soldiers or
Right, that you're like, oh, maybe not all Fire Nation is bad or has the same mindset.
But then on the flip side of that, we see like this corruption of what happened when Aang was gone those 100 years, that people who probably could have helped him like have turned in the time since from with his absence. So people have lost hope in the Avatar and so have fallen behind an evil tyrant king in the form of Fire Lord Ozai.
Yeah, now let's tackle that for just a second. They keep throwing around 100 years like, you're just 100 years too late. It's just 100 years ago. I mean, 100 years ago, it was 1920. There was the roaring 20s. And look how much has changed in that much time.
Absolutely nothing.
Exactly. People wanted faster horses, and so they got faster horses, man. The hell with the automobiles. But no, in the show, it's just like, it does make you wonder, like, what did it look like 100 years ago in the show? How was Aang before he was in the iceberg? And it's just, the more as he was talking to the former Avatar Roku, it just makes me go like, how well trained was Aang and all the other avatars?
Well, so the avatars are supposed to, they're supposed to, as we learned from Roku, take years and years and years to like be disciplined and learn everything they need to learn for the elements, and like it's a slow process. And so Roku, at the end of the episode, we get the end game. Like we get like what this series is gonna be about. Like Aang has to
Get it together.
over the course of like it's winter solstice, 6 months to master three more elements and save the world before this comet comes back and the Fire Nation uses it again.
Right, and there's a lot of pressure, and you find out if you're not able to achieve this, that there's no going back, and that the Fire Lord's going to take over, and they're going to have their little superpower.
And Roku probably wasn't. He was supportive, but wasn't too understanding with Aang's plight. I got goosies at the scene where he's like, I know you can do this, Aang, for you have done it before. And we kind of like, as like you've mastered all the elements before in your lifetime. But Roku doesn't say, oh yeah, also I did that in 3 months. So you're cool, right? You got this? You good? Also, with the comet, it's implied that the Fire Nation used the comet's power to enact genocide on the air nomads. So that's intense.
Yes, it is.
Whoa.
Yeah. They started the war to deal a deadly first strike against the other nations
Yeah.
and wiped out all of the airbenders.
Yikes.
Just using the comet to go Super Saiyan on everybody.
Yeah, so what's the comet? Like, what do you think the comet's going to be? Like, what is that for you? How they're describing it?
When they were describing the comet, I'm actually very curious to see what the actual comet is. If it's going to be like an actual comet, or is it going to be like I don't know, the sun just happens to get just close enough to or the earth just happens to get just close enough to the sun to where the Fire Lord can harness the real power of the sun, same way Superman and Goku harness the power of the sun. I'm excited to see how he does it, if he gets to, or maybe Aang gets to harness the power of the sun before the Fire Lord does.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that's how he masters the last element, which would be fire. That's my guess.
An intriguing theory. We'll see if it plays out.
Yeah. What did you think about, what was his name?
Yu, the Fire Sage.
Yes. The one who, he was like, no, guys, come in this secret passage. And
Oh, like if he was actually a bad guy?
Right. Did you believe that he was a good guy that actually wanted to help the Avatar?
Unfortunately, he proved himself to be trustworthy. I could not trust him at all. Not from the first get-go.
Was it the eyebrows? He had intense eyebrows.
I've watched too many medieval shows, whereas anybody that tells you they are actually on your side, they could just easily be a traitor. So Aang and the kids were a lot more trustworthy than I am. But then again, they didn't really have a choice.
Right. I mean, they were cornered.
They were cornered, and the guy was like, follow me. And I, in my guts, tell me don't trust the guy. That's probably a trap. But like in their case, they didn't have a choice.
But he's also like, here, trust me. Also, let's go walk down through this like magma chamber. You guys want to come with?
But it's also really nice that he was just a good guy, period. And that they never turned them in, even in the end. And
a good guy who was like fulfilling his ancestral duty to help the Avatar however he could. But the other ones did not follow that. Yeah, they were kind of awful, especially like the lead guy was like, quick, get the Avatar.
I know. They've been waiting a long time.
I guess after 100 years, you kind of forget your duties.
Also, I totally forgot about Zuko showing up.
Yeah, just shows up again.
It's like, what are you doing?
Speaking of indomitable spirit, here comes Zuko. If anyone has a control over his spirit, takes like his little skipper, finds his way, walks up all those stairs. We know how long those stairs were. And
He's been training.
Dude. Shows up, grabs Aang. And at this point, every time Zuko grabs Aang, you're like, I don't take it seriously anymore. Because Aang's just like, and I'm going to kick you down this flight of stairs. Later, Zuko.
Every time.
It's like Tom and Jerry.
Yes, very much so.
But then the fire sages come, they open up the doors, and as they're closing, Aang like jumps on the fire sages and gets in right at the last moment and finally meets Avatar Roku.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting because it's gonna just keep getting better and better, and I just feel like I was getting really emotional. Like it was just nice because you're like
emotional.
I was just really moved by Roku and like thinking about what's ahead and just talking about the spirit world, and I don't know. Did you get emotional, Troy? Just me?
Yeah, I did not get emotional.
He's not that attached.
Just thought to myself, it's a heck of a way to start the domino effect as to what the series is about to bring to you. It was absolutely the best setup. You got a blockade of Fire Nation ships, and then they barely make it through that, and then they go to a temple that's surrounded by a volcano, on top of a volcano. And inside this temple, you got this Avatar, and deep inside this heavily guarded chamber. And then the last words the Avatar says is, you can do it, Aang. You've done it before.
Yeah, no.
I mean, to me, that's the ultimate domino effect for any action-heavy series with a lot of good stuff coming.
Well, Roku, I mean, he had some time to prepare. I don't know how time passes in the spirit world, but he was like, okay, I got 100 years to think about what I'm going to tell Aang. I got this. But then, here comes Roku, like, possessing the body of Aang to, like, blow up that island.
It was a great moment.
That was pretty crazy. Were you surprised that, like, Roku showed up?
I imagine the doors would open and it'd be like Roku standing side by side with Aang taking on the Fire Nation. I did not expect, for Roku to come out just by himself in the embodiment of Aang. But like I said, it was just a great introduction to show you the potential power of an Avatar.
I don't know. Do you think the other firebenders like felt kind of bad? Like, oh, sorry, Roku.
Yeah, maybe some guilt. Like,
that'd be great.
Hey, man, sorry about this.
Well, they didn't say anything about that when they were on the ship. They were just like, look, we were just doing what the Fire Nation wanted us to do. And the Fire Nation captain's like, save it for the Fire Lord. I don't believe you.
Yeah, Commander Zhao has zero time for them.
It really shows you, like, people can be extremely loyal to Captain Zhao, but
he's a commander, Troy. Show the man some respect. Silence.
Because My respect for him is none.
Oh, boom, boom, boom.
Good.
Okay,
Commander
has
Zhao.
your opinion on what element you'd be a bender of changed?
I don't remember the last time I said.
Okay, in
Well,
this moment, what are you identifying with?
Truth be told,
Avatar.
the Avatar. Yeah. No, it's really a cross between the spirit world and the water. I think the last
The
time
spirit
we
world is
talked-
not.
It's a place, man.
It's not an element.
Actually, they made it into an element, believe it or not. That's what I got from episode 7. I think the last time we were, I said Earth, but I'm just for how much fun I just had in Hawaii and on the mountain skiing. I'm like, no, water would be a hell of a element to control.
Katie, are you still feeling the same about?
I mean, I think I'm a little bit of every element.
Oh, Katie
So
the Avatar.
I identify. I'm Roku.
I'm all Arrow. You're Roku? The beard probably sells it.
And my dragon.
Okay, so last final thoughts. I love the dynamic between Zuko and Roku. That's awesome. I'm glad that Aang is finally getting his act together and realizing some things about his life. Sokka is becoming more supportive. Katara hasn't really been doing too much except for like cheerleading on the side. I don't think she's really waterbended at all those 2 episodes.
No, there's still time.
Are we allowed to say that? I think you've said you've watched about every episode thus far about the series.
Me?
Yes.
Oh no, we have said many times that I have watched this show. This show was like my comfort food growing up. Like once I had the box set of DVDs, I would like sit down with my lunch during summer breaks from school. I'd eat a little pizza, watch a couple episodes, not in order, just whenever.
Nice.
I would theorize with Smiley at the lunch table at the Tillamook High School cafeteria, and we'd look each other dead in the eyes and wax poetic about where we thought the series was going. Because my senior year of high school, season 3, Nickelodeon decided to halt. I don't know if they halted production or just halted like distribution. Like we got the first 10 episodes, ends on a crazy cliffhanger, and then Nickelodeon proceeded to wait, I think, 6 months before airing another episode.
They wanted to give you time to master
High school?
the elements.
Oh, ooh, touche. And I mastered 0 elements, except for the element of spirit world.
The reason why I'm bringing it up is because I think it's a discipline in itself to be such a fan of a show, to watch all the episodes multiple times,
Yeah.
and to still act shocked and have your own theories, even though you know how it's going to play out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can tell you exactly how it plays out. So the next episode, no, I'm not gonna tell you. It's called the Waterbending Scroll.
Oh, it's going to be my type episode.
Oh, Troy loves water?
Yeah, because 70% of our body is made of water.
Only 70? Isn't it like 90?
70.
You wanna-
What? Are you sure?
All right, kids, we're gonna come back to you with some facts here. We're gonna fact check how much of our body is in fact water.
All right.
And what you can bend.
Trivia. How much of our
right.
body is made of water?
Okay, guys, we're out. Enjoy the next couple episodes. We're going to watch Waterbending Scroll and the next 2 after that, and then we will be back to talk more about Uncle Iroh and his rockin' dad bod. All right, I'm Jordan,
Katie.
And Troy.
and we're out. Team Avatar. Yip, yip.
Yep, yep.
Yip, yip.
Yep, yep. Fact.
Wait. Fact
check. Check, please. Let's talk about body water, Katie.
Let's get the facts.
But not like bodies of water. Let's talk about water in the body.
Let's talk about water in the body.
Baby. So, according to the United States Geological Survey, they stated that 60% of the human body can be composed of water. 90% of the human weight is from water. So I think I was getting screwed up. Like 90% of the human body is not made of water, but 90% of your weight is water.
Well, I asked our little robot, whose name must not be said,
It's Voldemort.
and she said 65%.
So Price is Right rules. Everybody lost. So
I was thinking everybody wins.
everybody wins, but I think Troy won the most.
Good job, Troy.
So go bend that water.